Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coaching Chats. I'm your host, Rukhshana Alieva. Today, I'm joined by another very special guest, Mark Schilling. Mark is a health optimization practitioner who helps busy professionals improve their health and performance. He combines nutrition, movement, and lifestyle adjustments based on evolutionary medicine. In today's episode, we are going to explore some practical and powerful ways to enhance your health and well being. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hi, Roxana. Good to see you.
Mark, we'll just go straight into questions. How did you get into fitness?
So, dating back to my high school is a really funny thing. So, maybe some people remember there was this Hercules actor. He was called Kevin Sorbo. I think everybody knows that, like really tan, blonde, brunette hair. And he was like really, really fit, right? And funny thing is, in high school, my gym teacher looked exactly the same way. And everybody, like all the girls and teachers were like all over him. So, I was like, I want to be like him. I want to look like him. So basically, that was the kickstart of my fitness journey. He showed me how to move. He showed me how to eat. Yeah, and so I was started. So it was at the age of 16, and from there, basically, my fitness journey started.
Oh wow! So that particular movie had such a significant impact on
Yeah,
you.
especially because he looked that way. He was just like his brother, just a little bit different, but he just looked exactly like the actor. And I mean, when I grew up, there was in school was in the 90s. There was no social media, right? Internet was just very, very simple, and then you just watch TV, and that was this show called Hercules. And so it was just my fitness model. Yeah.
Oh wow! And could you tell us about your audience? Could you tell us our audience about your niche and the types of clients you normally work with?
So basically my path is I've been more than a decade, so about 12 years I've been into personal training. From there I developed into health coaching. So health coaching is not only personal training, but I include like nutrition, lifestyle modifications, and I included a lot of as you mentioned, like an evolutionary lens on human beings. So from that, I worked in the gym in Vienna in a more high-end gym, and there I was working mostly with busy professionals. So for some CEOs, managers. Did I choose it? I don't know. I think it just happened somehow because this is kind of elite gym. That's where people were going to. So I had this kind of clients, and that's how I stick to them. So I work with people who are busy professionals, CEOs, had some athletes, but mostly managers, and that's how it started. Yeah.
And do you work with both female and males as well?
Yes, I work with males and females. I would say if you put it in a like more demographic order, it's males and females starting 35 to about 70 years old, and mostly in Europe right now. Also because I do 100% online coaching, so most of my clients are in Europe. I did some here in Costa Rica, where I'm based right now, but mostly in Europe.
In Europe, yeah, I did actually have to say, I checked your website, and I did see a lot of testimonials. You can see people like from different demographics, and some of them as well, like a bit on the older side. Like you can see, like I remember different types of people.
Yeah, totally. And of course, I love the German-speaking countries because my native tongue is German. Because I'm from Vienna, Austria. I was born there. Yeah.
Oh, nice, very nice. So you're based currently in Costa Rica.
Yeah, exactly. I'm based in Costa Rica for another 2 months, and then we're going back to the Netherlands because my partner, she's from the Netherlands.
Yeah. Nice, so nice. What's generally, Mark? What's generally your philosophy on healthy lifestyle and nutrition?
Yeah. So the thing is, my approach changed a lot. So of course, in the beginning, when you were starting as a personal trainer, you're done in exercise, you have nutrition, you go into biochemistry, right? Everybody's talking about calories, about carbohydrates, proteins, fats. So this was my main approach in the beginning. So, but at some point, when I was trying to help my client, there was a difficulty with sustaining these kind of habits. because it's not easy if you're really, really busy and you have to work from, let's say, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. to dial in nutrition. It's easier, for example, to say like, oh, maybe I can go for a walk. So I would say it became now at this point, since 4 years, not the most important topic I'm dealing with my clients with, because also my approach has changed in terms of biochemistry is important, but biophysics is more important. What does it mean? So there's some really smart guys out there, especially one guy called Dr. Cruz, and the other one is called Dr. Alexander Wunsch. Those two are very much into what's called quantum mechanics. This is the science of nature, and evolutionary medicine, which is basically how does evolution affect health and disease? Yeah, right. How did we actually evolve? Where did we evolve from? What is more important than, for example, nutrition? And here comes in the topic of light. And I'm not only talking about the light, which is natural light, but also what happens actually if we're getting too much of this artificial light. What does it do to our bodies? And Dr. Alexander Wunsch, he's a photobiologist, I think, for more than 30 years, and he does nothing besides research in light. So a really good book from him is called Die Kraft des Lichts. In English, it's called The Power of Light. He describes actually light is what you call photoactive. So it does something in our bodies, right? So we think of light as light and dark, right? If you don't have light, it's dark. But what about sunlight? The best example is if sun hits our skin, especially UVB rays, you're creating vitamin D, right?
Mm-hmm.
If UVA hits our skin, we're creating melanin, and this is what gives us a tan. So these are only just two wavelengths from the electromagnetic spectrum of the sun, and there's so many others which have a very strong influence on our bodies. And those things come due to research are more important than what you eat or what you do. Because in a lot of cases, actually, the biophysics light activates certain pathways how to use nutrients. Or else sometimes you cannot even use nutrients if the light environment is not here. And that's just one part of the equation, the light environment. So do you live in a city? Do you live in a rural area, right? Do you have pristine, fresh, clean air? Or are you living in New York, for example? Yeah. And I think in our society, it's pretty hard to understand that if you don't see something, you don't believe it. And this would always sit with these electromagnetic frequencies. And I'm talking not only about light, but also, for example, a hot topic right now is 5G, right, on our phones. Before it went 4G, 3G. So these wavelengths, they're doing something to our bodies. We are used, based on evolution, on what you call native EMFs. So what the Earth has, the natural Earth EMF. But our body's not used to all this non-native EMF, which includes, for example, as I mentioned, the electromagnetic frequencies of cell towers, 5G, but also blue light. Ever heard of blue light?
Yeah, it's the gadgets, right? The smartphones, it's that irradiates
Exactly, yeah.
basically smartphones.
Exactly. So it's a really interesting story. I don't know if you want to go down this rabbit hole, but I'm just going to give you a short idea. So we evolved with the full spectrum of light. So when the sun rises, you have a lot of infrared A, right? And then as soon as the sun is a bit higher, you get some more blue light, which is very activating. Because this light, for example, blue light is very interesting because it activates an area in our brain called the pituitary gland, which produces cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all those hormones which makes us awake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the sun sets, let's put it first this way, and then it goes to about midday. Then you have, for example, UVB, and then it goes down. UV goes away. Then you have a bit more UVA, and then going back to red light. So it changes the spectrum, right? And towards the evening, when the sun is already really weak, or if the sun sets, you have basically no blue light. So what do we do with our phones? If we have our phones, phone light or any artificial light we have, especially since the advent of LEDs, our body's getting only the frequency called blue light, which is basically just activating us the whole time. And if you want to go to sleep, you don't want to be activated. You actually want to have your pineal gland activated, which produces melatonin. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's
it's
a big
common, yeah.
mismatch in our
Mhm.
environment, which leads to a lot of problems in health and fitness. So I don't have any energy. I feel tired in the morning. I cannot go to sleep, you know? And that is even more important because this is what we call circadian biology. Our biology is made for the sun, you know? This is also a reason why, for example, the WHO classified night shifts as a potential carcinogen because you're just turning around your circadian rhythm. You're working in the evenings under artificial light, and then you're going to bed when it's daytime outside, actually where you have to be outside. Because we're not nocturnal animals, huh? We are diurnal animals, right? So just to give you an idea about why, and this is basically the approach I take now, because nowadays everybody has to work with technology. We live in a modern world, right? So I'm not like, I won't say to my clients, oh, you have to go back into a cave, turn off all the lights, yeah? Only use light when it's up in the morning. It doesn't work that way. So I implement strategies how to actually reduce the damage of that. And that can be very different depending where you are living. You know, if you're in Europe, if you're near the equator, right? So it differs here a little bit. And also in terms of diet, right? Everybody talks about like, oh, you have to low carb, high carb. No, it depends where you live. If you live, for example, near the equator, you have so much sunlight, so much photosynthesis. That's why a lot of plants can grow. And it's just carbohydrates. Then you should eat it. If you live, for example, very northern of the equator, let's say, for example, Scandinavian countries, that's about the 59, 60th latitude, there basically nothing grows in winter. So what do you have to eat? Fish, seafood, more animal products, because animals are still there, you know? So this is the first approach I take with my clients, optimize the environment, and then we're gonna dig into nutrition and then exercise. Yeah.
Wow.
Have you heard
I
of
lo-
these things I told you?
No, because I'm a big podcast listener, and I've heard a little bit of glimpse of that when some scientists talk about these things. But actually, I've never heard anyone who talks that comprehensively as you did right now. It's not like, as you said, just one size fits all. Like, yeah, just I'll tell you what percentage of fats, carbs, and protein you should eat per day, but you actually understand biology and how the body circadian rhythm work and everything, because it's so important. No, no, answering your question, no, actually.
Yeah. And the funny fact is that I didn't believe that in the beginning. I was like, this mustn't be true. But the more you dig into this, the more you see it on yourself. And there were some things where I had like aha moment, what I actually did as a kid. I was like, oh my God, this helped me so much to become a healthy human being. You know?
Mhm.
So I think we have to shift a little bit this paradigm because people are not getting healthier. You know, although people are eating like this kind of diet, they're doing a lot of exercise. So there must be something else. And I got this aha moment in 2019 where I visited a biohacking conference, and there was this guy talking, Dr. Jack Cruz, and then Dr. Alexander Munch. So these two guys opened my eyes. This is incredible, actually, what light can do to us in a positive, but also in a negative way. And the thing is, I'm not talking. The things I'm talking to is in the literature. That's in the medical literature, but nobody made it popular. These things date back into the 1900s. You know, so late
Yeah.
and
So
the 20th century, right? So Dr. Jack Cruz or also Dr. Alexander Wunsch, they talk about the human extinction phase, which was basically 1873 with the invention of the light bulb. Right? Artificial light changed everything because you know why? We could actually destroy or shift our circadian biology by having. And it became even worse because a light bulb had like, I don't know how it's in English. In German, it's Wolframfaden. It's like the inner thing, this glowing thread inside, which is glowing. So this has actually a lot of electromagnetic frequencies from the sun. But the problem was it was getting too warm. So in a lot of places, like for example, in a theater somewhere, it was heating up the room. So they needed to find a possibility how to remove the heat and heat is this infrared A wavelength. So how did it develop? From this light bulb, they get some incandescent bulbs, right? And there was another bulb. I'm sorry, I don't know the English word, but I won't tell it. But the next thing what we're gonna have is the energy saving lamp. But did you know in the energy saving lamp there was actually mercury, which was basically evaporating into the air? That's why people got sick. So that was banned. So the next thing came out of Asia, which were the LED lamps. Don't produce any heat, right? Or cheap, right? And those are pure 100% blue light, which keeps you awake. And the funny thing, what also they mentioned was, so when you, for example, trigger your pituitary gland the whole time, you're getting more productive, right? Because cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline keep you like really awake. So what did they notice in factory halls? The workers got more productive. They could work longer. They endured longer with this certain light.
Because it blocks melatonin, right? That hormone
exactly. It blocks your pineal gland to produce melatonin, and it always activates you. Basically, when you're there, your body thinks, oh, it's daylight. It's day. It's day. It's day. Exactly. And this is actually also what your phone does. You know, your phone, your computers, everything what is technology is 100% blue light. There are some strategies how you can diminish that. If you wanna talk about it later, so if there's time for that, we could talk. But I'll leave it to you.
No, it's fascinating.
Maybe it could be a time for another podcast. I don't know.
No, definitely we should probably catch up for another dedicated episode on that. But I have to say that you're spot on that in terms of light. I've noticed if I use my phone before I go to bed on my computer, I had a hard time to fall asleep, or I have a very interrupted sleep. I don't have that deep sleep. And it's not just me. I talk to a lot of people and they feel the same way, because science is science, right? This is what you've just described. Yeah. And then what happens, it influences your performance next day, because you feel like rubbish. You can't just perform. Like even if I go to the gym, I feel like I need to take creatine or something to actually keep me going, because I just I can't perform well. That's what I was trying to say.
Exactly.
And
I can also go down that rabbit hole. It's so crazy what's, and the thing is also, if you think of a gym is indoor. You have Wi-Fi, which is electromagnetic frequency, right? Everybody has their phone around, so you're basically in an EMF hell. And what the next thing is, a lot of gyms, especially when you go in the evening, blue light blasting. So actually, blue light reduces your energy. Right? So you're trying to get energy by taking stimulants in order to have energy in the gym. So the best thing, so of course, I also go to the gym. I enjoy going to the gym. But I make, for example, a point, I go during the morning hours before the evening if possible, because most of the time they don't turn on their lights. I go there during times where there are not a lot of people. Why? Less people around with their cell phones, right? And people are talking about it. It's a big thing in the fitness industry, taking these pre-workouts, right? It's most a mixture of some amino acids, a lot of caffeine, right? We're talking about like 500 milligrams. Just to put it into perspective, if you drink one espresso, it has 90 milligrams. So you're taking 5 espresso in one shot, right? So this is just to put everything in perspective. So caffeine stimulates your cortisol, right? Stimulates that you gotta have a lot of power, right? And also blocks that you're getting sleepy. That's the idea of caffeine, right? So that's what people take, just to boost. What I do is very different. I've done that. I've been there. I've started like everyone else. What I do now is I like to drink amino acids, right? Creatine is really good. But what I do is that I add an apple, because apple has what you call your salic acid, and your salic acid gives you energy. And number 4 is I have what you call a red light therapy lamp. So red light therapy lamp is a lamp which basically emits red light, which is gained from the sun, this wavelength. Why red light? So red light goes into your body. It goes into your cells, in your power plants called mitochondria. We have an enzyme there. It's called cytochrome. It's a cytochrome C oxidase. So the funny part is we humans think that only through food we can get energy. But the funny part is, as soon as red light hits your mitochondria, this enzyme, cytochrome C oxidase, it turns the red light into energy in your body. So you can produce energy without eating. That's what you call it's photobiomodulation. You can, and that's what I do. I blast myself with red light, 15 minutes, hit the gym. And you can't even think you're full of energy. And there's no caffeine. There's just some amino acids just to boost, for protein synthesis, to give me some power. Creatine, creatine is also one of the best supplements you can take, not only for muscle health, but for brain health. And that's it. Eat an apple. Nothing too fancy, nothing these expensive pre-workouts. You don't need that. That's not how our body works.
Yeah, I used to actually take these pre-workout drinks, as you mentioned. They're full of, they are very loaded with caffeine, with other amino acids. And I remember the feeling. It's kind of like, I feel like I have a shivers, like I feel like I'm so energized, but not in a good way. It's like,
but also your blood pressure, right? Your blood pressure goes up really high when you boost yourself with a lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, no, it's true. Actually, yeah, I'm actually really curious to talk to you about these red lights and everything. So in terms of red lights, can you buy red lights? So how can people find it?
Yeah, totally. So red lights, actually, it's funny. This science comes from, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I just reread my red light book. The name was Red Light Therapy by, oh my God, I forgot the author. It's a really good book on red light therapy. I can type it to you after. Yeah. Or wait. Maybe I can tell now. It's a really. Oh, here you got it. Ari Witten. So Ari Witten is the guy, and he had a red light book. So, if I'm not mistaken, red light therapy comes from it was used in the 1970s by NASA. Yeah, and they found out that I don't know anymore, to be honest. 100%. But anyway, there are a lot of studies on that. You just go to PubMed, and because I don't know 100% about the history anymore. So on PubMed, and then you can just type in red light therapy in effect. So what it does. So the main idea is, number one, red light, as I mentioned before, gives you energy through the enzyme in your mitochondria, cytochrome C oxidase. The other thing, what it also does, it's called hormetic stressor. So hormetic stressors are small stressors which in the short term make you weaker, but in the long term make you stronger. It's like exercise, right? So this is what red light does. It activates, it goes straight into your body. And the funny part is, what people don't know, if you have, for example, UV light, it's mostly on the surface of your skin. Red light goes about 10 to 30 centimeters into your body. So it can even go in your organs, right? So this is why it's so. I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. It just penetrates better, yeah. It's like this is
exactly because it goes deeper. It surpasses your skin. Exactly, it goes very deep. And the easiest way how to check it to know how does it work. Can you still remember when you were a kid and then you took a flashlight, you hold it against your hand, and then the other side was red? That's a sign of red light. That is what penetrates. Red light penetrates through, and it's just so amazing. And red light does a lot of things. So in the literature, they're talking about if you, for example, want to improve skin health, right? You're going to improve muscle health. You want to improve your tendons, your joints. It reduces inflammation. Improves also hair growth. Improves physical performance, right? So all these things, red light gives your body the energy your mitochondria uses, that you gain even more energy out of that. All right.
And you use, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
And you, so in terms of exposure to red light, you said because it gives energy, you need to use it in the morning, right? Obviously.
So the thing is, you have to go back. You have to see what does the sun actually do, right? So it's a little bit of it's hard to say because the sun has most of the has red light. 42% is always in the sun, right? So there's always red light. But I would say the time where we have mostly only red light, besides the other spectrums, is mostly in the morning and in the evening. So what I do is I use it mostly in the morning, but most of the time when there is no sun. The sun is way more powerful than a red light device. So for example, here in Costa Rica, I barely use it, maybe before the workout, but I make sure that I go out in the sun. Because the cool thing is with the sun in the morning is, you basically, when the sun rises, I think the first hour, there's basically no UV, which goes directly on your skin. It's just red light, right? So you can take advantage of that and go and expose yourself to the sun, which is more powerful. And we're not talking only about red light, visible red light, but also infrared. You know, infrared, I'm talking about near infrared. In near infrared is basically not visible, but it penetrates in your body. Red light itself is visible, and that's what you see. So these two frequencies. So if I use my device, when I go back to the Netherlands, it's mostly morning and sometimes also in the afternoon, but not close to bed, because any light could disrupt your melatonin production. Some people feel it more, some people less. For example, when my girlfriend goes into the red light before bed, she's okay with that. For me, I need to do it at least 2 hours before, or I feel that, because you feel that energy in your body. It's so weird. If I go in the red light, you just feel you're being energized, right? And you have to also be careful with that, because too much is also not good. If you're metabolically healthy, you're getting a lot of energy. But some people, for example, who are not that metabolically healthy, if they do, for example, 20 or 30-minute session, they feel awful after that. Because as I told you before, it's a hormetic stressor. It makes you feel, or makes you weak and then makes you stronger. But because if that's too much going on, then it could feel like, oh my God, I just overdid it. I get a headache, these kind of things. So in the beginning, it's important to just work your way up. Like start maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then you can work your way up. And Arvitan advises about 20 minutes max. I've done already about an hour. It doesn't affect me. But also there's a thing called, I think the bipolar phase or something, which basically says that, I could be mistaken with the technical term, but it says if you do too much, it actually could diminish your returns. So it's like 20 minutes is like the threshold, stay there, and then you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all about balance, right? It's not just over.
Exactly.
Overdid. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've seen this. I mean, in terms of talking about red lights, I've seen in some salons, like some women probably, they use it for collagen production, or I don't know if there is any science that backs this up, but
it does.
It does,
Collagen, elastin, 100%. Yeah. Totally. Because of this energizing power that red light has, Yeah.
And I have to say, I actually did that probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I had some facial in one salon, and they put in the end that huge like mask, which had like red lights. And I did feel, it just felt so relaxing. I felt like I lie under the sun. It just feels like you're on a holiday. It gives you that vibe. I think.
And that's real. This is not a placebo. This is real.
That's real.
And the cool thing is, when you go to salon, how much did you pay? $100, $200 for 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah? Here, like in the UK, yeah, I don't know now. It was like a facial, like they do little things, and then the last step is just to, they put that red light on your face.
Yeah. But I mean, to answer your question, you can buy those devices now, and the cool thing is, it's not only anymore in spas or some beauty salons. You can buy the device. So I always recommend getting a bigger device, because then you don't have to turn yourself the whole time. You're not getting a bigger device, which is about hip to head. That's what I have. And there are a lot of companies. I don't want to do any commercial for any company. Yeah. There's some there in the US, some good companies. There's in Europe some good companies. And if you want some recommendations, I can send it to you. And they have their own devices, and they're pretty good right now. And the cool thing is, they also, as we talked about, technology has also EMFs, and they make sure that their LEDs, which emit this light frequencies, actually don't emit EMFs, because they put I think a coating around it which blocks it from EMFs. So you can go really near with your body to even benefit even more from that red light therapy. Yeah, I don't say it substitutes the sun. I would say it complements it if you don't have any other choice. You know, and that's a cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah, especially here, like where I live, in the United Kingdom, it rains so often here, and sometimes you meet people when it rains. People are like, oh, it's just I don't feel great today because of the rain. The weather is terrible and things like that. And I think it's a great way to maybe boost your not only your net energy levels but also maybe your mood. I think, let's say,
100%. Yeah.
if I was your client, like I would tell I'm based in the United Kingdom. This is where, what my weather looks like. What would you tell me? Like, what would be protocol maybe for a
And
person like
protocol.
me? Yeah.
So the
I don't know.
first
Do you,
thing,
do you do that thing? Do you
yeah,
do that?
yeah, totally. That's exactly what I'm doing right now more than ever.
Mhm.
The more I dig into this evolutionary medicine, to quantum mechanics, like the more I'm doing is optimizing your environment. So the first thing we have to do is, we're not even talking about food and exercise. We have to optimize your environment, which
Mhm.
means the farther you are away from the equator, the less light you have, the more you have to embrace the other powers, which is cold and darkness. What do I mean with that? So number one, if your body doesn't have light, it needs the cold. So you have to expose yourself to cold water, to cold air, because there's significant epigenetic switches. So you have your genome, right? These epigenetic switches, which are, for example, environment, food, exercise, turns on and off certain genes, right? That's epigenetics. And we have to optimize your environment for you. And we have to look at, where do you actually come from? You're Russian, so you kind of used to cold, right? Your
Mhm.
skin is your skin is whiter, so
Mhm.
you could really benefit from cold thermogenesis. This is number one, right? You have to expose yourself to cold. Number two is we have to optimize your light environment in your home, which means number one, you have to maybe change your bulbs, maybe get some incandescent lamps, or right now there are still some normal light bulbs available, which are being banned, but some companies still sell it. Like the rest they have, this could be an option. Or number two, I brought it with me. What everybody should use, actually, in my opinion, as soon as the sun sets, you're gonna wear this blue light blocking glasses.
Ooh.
Yeah. So these glasses are orange tinted, right? The
Mhm.
more orange, the more blue light they're blocking. There's some which are yellow, some which are more red than this. They block even more blue light. So this is important. Why? As we talked about it before, you have to block blue light in order to produce hormones for you to go to sleep, which you get tired. But not only that, blue light, if you expose yourself the whole time to only blue light, I'm talking about only frequency blue light. The sun has also blue light, but the sun balances it out with infrared A. There's always a balance in the sun. So the blue light in the sun is never toxic, right? Blue light, you need blue light. So only when it's, for example, from a computer, where you need to use it. So you shouldn't also get too much blue light, especially as I said, this one frequency. So it would be good, because you're working a lot on the computer, that you
Mhm.
get blue light blocking glasses, which are yellow, which block the most important blue light frequencies, but you can still see colors, which is important, right? And then as soon as the sun sets, you're gonna put this on, because when the sun is not out anymore, you don't need any light anymore, because your body has to switch hormones, right? Or else the body thinks, hey, it's daylight, and this is a big problem. And then, for example, if you then go out in the evening, if you drink, if you party, if you go to the pub, this is basically wrecking your body. Yeah. So is it unhealthy to live where you are? It's unhealthier than, for example, to live here at the equator because of light. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it,
Yeah.
it, it totally does.
So you have to embrace nature. You have to get out. You have to look into the sky also when there's no sunlight, because there is sunlight. You just don't see it, right? Because the infrared A rays, they penetrate through the clouds. And this is what you have to get through your eyes, but also in your body. This is what turns on all the good genes in your body and makes you healthy. If we bathe the whole time blue light, which is way harder, I know it because in the Netherlands it's almost the same, right? So in the Netherlands also you have a lot of rainy days. The summers are very short. In summer, the sun rises at 5, sets at 10 or 11, right? Those kind of things. But if you do the right things, you can be really healthy in this kind of environment. You know? So to go back to question number 1, get into the cold. Number 2, block blue light as soon as the sun sets, right? And number 3, focus. This is a diet-related thing. Focus your diet on eating seafood and fish. There's an omega-3 fatty acid inside fish and seafood called DHA, which your body needs for optimal brain health and eye health. Right?
Yeah, I'm a pescatarian, so it's yeah.
And I mean, the cool thing is,
yeah,
the most nutrient-dense foods are actually in cold environments. Why? Because we need it, because we don't have enough sun. The nutrient, for example, when you go to the North Sea or Atlantic, which is, for example, the Netherlands, you have the UK, you go to Scandinavia, that part, that's really nutrient dense. You have mackerel, you have herring, you have salmon.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those things are loaded with omega-3. And the funny fact is, here in Costa Rica, the seafood is not as loaded with omega-3 as in colder waters because of the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow! I didn't think about that.
So you need it, and also we have to when we're talking about evolutionary medicine, where did we evolve from? So based on the studies of mitochondria, the first humans, I'm talking about humans, Homo sapiens, emigrated 70,000 years ago from the East African Rift Zone to the north. Right? So along the equatorial area, you had a lot of sun, so you could eat a lot of fruits, right? Everything was being made out of photosynthesis. The more you emigrated to the north, especially in winter, you didn't have photosynthesis. So what did people do? Game was harder to catch. You didn't go every day because think of humans, the early humans were nomads, right? We didn't have agriculture at that time, right? We didn't have cows in the backyard or any wheat fields. So they had to hunt. But hunting was dangerous. You never knew where to get it. You know, you had to gain, you have to be full of energy to go to hunt. So the easiest way was just to get some stuff off the beach, which is, for example, mussels, right? But they also could fish. So that's where our bodies need this seafood, because genetically speaking, our body needs this DHA out of the omega-3 fatty acids, which comes from fish and seafood. And the more we emigrated to the north, the more we were dependent on this food chain.
Yeah.
Right? And also, funny fact, the more you go north, the whiter people get. Why? Because you're losing melanin. Right?
Yeah.
That's why you get blonde, you have blue eyes, because you're losing melanin, which gives you this brown color. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's true. It's true, but at the same time, I have to say I'm very careful with the sun because, yeah, you did mention UVB and UV A rays, but also, you know, they can be. I mean, again, it's all about balance, because if you go under the sun and lay for hours with no sun protection, you know, you can get skin cancer and all sorts of stuff. So, because when I'm going,
Exactly.
I'm very mindful of that as well.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, yeah, you already mentioned nutrition, which I actually really wanted to touch based upon that. So, talking about nutrition, what main misconceptions do you see maybe with your clients in their nutrition, and how do you address this misconception with them?
Yeah. So one of the biggest misconceptions, what is still happening, but I almost thought this doesn't happen anymore, but still it's a subject about fats, right? Fats make you fat. I'm talking about this more than 10 years, but people still think fats make you fat, you know? So what I talk to clients about is when I talk to them in English, I say to them lipids, which is easier to understand. You have to take in lipids, so they will not mix it up. Fat makes you fat. So number one, fat will not harm you. It's actually beneficial for you, right? And with fats, you don't gain weight. I mean, yes, you gain weight if it's to excess, but fats are healthy. Then I have to talk with them about that saturated fats are also needed for your body, right? And they will not lead to cardiovascular disease. And the other thing, what I'm also talking about, is about these polyunsaturated fats. Plant oils, seed oils, which are, for example, sunflower oil, you have canola oil, cottonseed oil, all these oils which are basically chemically processed. I make it always easy for people. If you can squeeze the oil out of a plant with your hands, like olive oil, pumpkin seed oil, then you're good to go. If you need it to be processed in a laboratory where a gas called hexane is added to it, then you should not eat it. Like, why would you eat oil which is processed in the laboratory? And then there are people saying this is healthy for you. I just don't understand it, you know? And this is still, it's so funny. Anywhere you go with any clients at work, whether it's here in Costa Rica, in Europe, they still think these plant seed oils are healthy. Although it's already in the literature that this is not healthy, especially if you heat these oils, right? If you heat it up, they're oxidized and they can even be more damaging to your body, right? That's why plant oils, you should not heat because they can oxidize due to the heat. They can get rancid. So they lead to damage in your body. So what I tell them is, if you want to eat, for example, salad, put some olive oil. In Austria, pumpkin seed oil is a big thing. It's really tasty. If you cook, use, for example, ghee, coconut oil. So ghee is clarified butter. Yeah.
Oh.
So basically, ghee is I make my ghee myself. So if you have butter, you put it in a pan, you just heat it up, and at some point the milk solids go to the ground. That's milk sugar. So then the butter gets clear, and that's ghee. Right. So you can use that, and that's basically what I recommend my clients in terms of fat. Yeah. So misconception in terms of all plant oils are not healthy. So you have to distinguish between the good plant oil, which are olive oil, avocado oil, or pumpkin seed oil, and then the bad oils, which are canola oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, this kind of oils. You better not eat them because they lead to inflammation in your body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's really good to know.
And also, there's a lot of people saying you can cook with olive oil, you can cook not. Olive oil is a monounsaturated fatty acid. So it is not as heat stable as a saturated fatty acid, such as ghee or coconut oil. But I've seen some people say that the more extra virgin olive oil you use, the more antioxidants it has. That's why if you heat it, you will not lose. They will not oxidize because there are a lot of antioxidants in there. I've tried it. I do it sometimes when I don't heat the pan too much. You know. When it's just, for example, a very light stir fry, I do it sometimes. But most of it, I just put on my salad, just as a cold pressed oil. And I cook most with coconut oil or ghee. And for people who say like, oh, coconut oil, everything tastes after it. The funny thing is, as soon as you eat it, it doesn't taste after it anymore. You know? Because my girlfriend says, oh, don't cook with coconut oil. I can taste everything. And then I do it and she doesn't say anything anymore. You smell it when you cook, but as soon as you eat it, you don't taste it anymore. So, yeah.
And it's healthy. It's not like as you
Oh,
said.
yeah, 100% healthy. Yeah. It
Yeah.
has also so you can even drink it, right? Because there's an MCT in there. It's called a medium chain triglyceride. It's called lauric acid. That is so good for our bodies. It gives your body also energy. Right, and it kills. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral.
Coconut oil, yeah. If you drink it, actually.
Totally, yeah.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
good.
I mean, you shouldn't drink a glass, but if you have like a tablespoon, it won't hurt you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I'm just wondering, Mark, what on an ideal day, what do you eat? Like starting for breakfast.
On ideal day, so the good thing is in my household, I'm in charge of food. So my girlfriend, she's not doing anything. So what I do, I like to eat generally a lot of fish or seafood, right? So most of the day, for example, one meal is I have some sourdough bread with some sardines on top. I put some avocado and then I put some olive oil. Yeah. People say, oh, don't eat grain. But I came to the conclusion, if everything around you is good in your environment, the grain will not hurt you, right?
No.
It will not hurt you. And I heard also Jack Cruz on a podcast because we were talking about allergies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Food sensitivities, allergies, or any allergies. If your light environment is optimized, your allergies will go away. So what I noticed here, since living here in Costa Rica, I can eat way more things which are considered unhealthy, and I just feel good because everything else is good. So it's not a food story anymore. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in Aldia, so sometimes I do. So that's a bread.
Mhm.
Sometimes I do. I make myself some sweet potato pancakes. So sweet potato pancakes is a mixture of I bake sweet potatoes, mash them up, and then I add some tapioca flour. That's manioc. That's a starch. Yeah, you can buy it in the store, and some rice flour. Put it together. Make some pancakes with it, and then just eat it. Sometimes I often put some smoked salmon and some avocado on top. Sometimes I make my own spread with avocado mayonnaise with sardines or mackerel. I put in some apple. I put in some small I call this pickles. Yeah, I cut them
Mhm.
small onions, pickles, and put that on top of the pancake. This is what I do. Or sometimes I just have some coconut yogurt, put in some collagen protein. Yeah, and that's it for my breakfast. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very. Look, it seems like obviously it's very healthy and it's nutrient
Mhm.
dense because you've got everything there. And sourdough bread, oh my god, it's so good for your gut. I think it's a very good
Yeah,
one.
I like it. Like also the taste. And the thing is, in Austria, we have a big culture of sourdough, especially
Mm.
sourdough rye bread. It's a big thing in Austria. Yeah, it's really
Oh,
tasty. Yeah, uh,
nice.
yeah.
And what's your take on supplementation in terms of whey protein? The
Whey
protein.
protein.
Whey,
So
sorry, whey protein. Yeah.
whey protein. So in terms of supplementation, supplements have a place, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And my approach has changed now. Is now what I do now with my clients is I test them first to see what they're deficient in, because it could also be that you're supplementing with something. I'm talking about minerals, vitamins, what you actually don't need. Because people don't know, we can also create endogenously in our bodies vitamins, for example, like B vitamins, right? So I like to see them. I'm using the as a it's you mentioned the beginning in my introduction, health optimization practitioner. So part of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I do is lab testing, what you call a metabolomic testing. So I want to see first what's going on in the body before I'm going to supplement. And you see like minerals, vitamins, or for example amino acids. What does your body need actually? And that's cool thing is, it's regarding your body in this spot, right? And you can see this testing. It's a really good analogy. The inventor of this education came up with. If you see, for example, your car dashboard, as soon as you just turn on your car a little bit, you see all these lights pop up, right? And whatever light pops up, that's something wrong with the car. So this is what you can use basically for this metabolomic testing. You see things which pop up, there might be a deficiency, and that's the time where I correct it.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't mean you're gonna supplement your whole life. No, I do mostly 3 months, and then we're gonna, if the client wishes that, we can do a retest to see if the body is in its equilibrium, and then we can leave it out. And if we, for example, do another testing within 6 or 12 months and everything is fine, we stimulated the body to do its own job to produce its own vitamins, right? But if the body says like, oh, I have a deficiency, we're gonna continue with that. So I'm doing it very individual. I don't like doing some general recommendations. Oh, you need that. What's right now in the fitness world? Fish oil, magnesium, vitamin D, right? It's very generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to some degree, a lot of people need that. Especially, I would say vitamin D, everybody needs who lives in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere, right? If you don't have adequate sun exposure. Is it as equally good as sun exposure? Of course not, right? Because we are made to produce vitamin D because of the sun. That's the idea why we need to go into the sun for vitamin D through the vitamin B rays. For you, for example, your advantage is because your skin is so light, you're building way more melanin. I'm sorry, vitamin D
Mm-hmm.
than I do, because I turn brown easily, so the sun is blocked more. So I need probably double the amount in the sun to get the same amount of vitamin D than you have. And the other part is probably what medicine doesn't really think of. Your amount of vitamin D to perform optimally is probably lower than mine. Why? Because your skin is light. Your ancestors are from Russia, right?
Yeah.
And so they didn't have that much vitamin D their whole life. And that's why you cannot compare, for example, somebody who comes from equatorial Africa to somebody who's born and has his ancestors in Russia. So if you look at the references, you have to think of, okay, when you, for example, have the Hadza people in the equatorial area, they could have vitamin D levels up to 100 nanogram per milliliter. But for example, for you, it would be probably sufficient for optimal health if you have, for example, 40. So there is not a one size fits all. This is also what I consider in my consultations. We're gonna look at your ancestry. We're gonna look at your skin type. We're gonna look where do you actually come from. And if you want to go one step further, you can even ask for your haplotype, your genetic haplotype. There's a company called 23andMe where you can find out about your haplotype, right? To see where do you really come from, right? So this is something what I implement just to optimize first everything around you. And that's why supplementation, I do it very individually. But if you ask me here, what would you recommend for the people, for generally for everyone, I'll go with this. Omega-3, magnesium, vitamin D. And I would also do collagen protein. That's what I also do myself. So these 4 things. If you do that, you cannot go wrong. And you don't also have to think about any toxicity. Yeah. Yeah. Did it answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm just going always a little bit overboard because I want people to understand the whole picture.
Yeah. No, it's good that you give very full answers, and it's good to know how you work. And you mentioned lab testing, right? Before you start even working with clients in terms of, if you prescribe the correct vitamins. Do you send them for a blood test? Is it just the blood test they need to do?
No, the cool thing is, so when I work with somebody, it doesn't necessarily have to mean they have to do lab testing, because it's also a financial thing. If you get lab tests privately, it's also more on the expensive side. So that's not what I do. But if people want to go like all in, they want to see like what's wrong with them, then we do it. But I also work with clients if they say like, I want to improve my lifestyle. Okay, where do you live? What can we implement? So it doesn't have to necessarily be this I have to do with everyone. But if somebody chooses to do some lab testing, it's so cool. I do with Nordic Labs, and they ship the test kit to your house. So if you're in Europe, you don't have to wonder. They ship everywhere. I think they ship even everywhere. They ship worldwide, they don't ship to Costa Rica because we don't have any addresses here, which is like really weird. There's no address here. And anyway, so some countries which are also declared war zones, they also don't do that, but mostly everywhere in the world. So you get it to, you're gonna ship it. They're gonna ship it to your house, and you're gonna have a combination of blood spot test. So you're just gonna get a prick and put it on this card, and urine. These 2 things. Yeah. So this is kind of doing at the convenience of your home. You can do that, and they're also gonna pick it up. It's mostly DHL or UPS. So you call them, and they're gonna pick it up, and all the instructions are in this package. So it's like really plug and play. It's amazing, and they're gonna send it to the lab. And the lab, when they're done, they're gonna share the information with me, and then we're gonna work out a program. It's perfect. You don't even leave your house. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's so smart as well, because some people just buy so many supplements, and I don't know which of them are actually unnecessary. It's just for the sake of buying because somebody told them.
Or what they read.
Or they read, yeah. Your body maybe doesn't even need it. If
and
you're
you also
like
have to be aware of it, because a lot of people don't pay attention to the quality of the supplement, right? They go just to the supermarket and get some fish oil, and then they get some vitamin D. But you know what the problem is often? That your body doesn't absorb it, or that for example, the omega-3 is already is rancid, or the oil is oxidized. So for example, the best example is when I tell people to buy an omega-3 supplement, they should always be sure that the capsule is not yellow, but brown. Because if it's yellow, sun can probably penetrate and make the oil rancid, can oxidize it. And all fish should also go into the fridge, because also heat could oxidize and make the oil rancid. You know. And another thing is with vitamin D. I had some clients who get vitamin D in a tablet form, but you have to be aware vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, so you have to take it either with fat, or better is get it in drops or capsules where it's emulgated with fat, or else you cannot really absorb it. So this is also something which you have to take in consideration. But the cool thing is, I work together with a health tech company. It's called Weldium, and that's like a supplement supplier. So the cool thing is, I as a practitioner can choose among over hundreds of companies. I can choose whatever I like of companies, and then I can create the whole protocol for my clients. So then I send them the link, and they can just buy everything off the link, and I can choose whatever is good for them. It's also, it's really practical.
Yeah. And you, as you said, you will probably work with companies that are trusted, and they
100%.
will, they will give you, they will sell good quality supplements, to your clients.
Exactly. That is also very important, because I mean, if people buy their organic meat and then they get some cheap supplements which are actually more harming than helping them, I also don't think it's a really good idea, right?
No.
Yeah. So everything what you put into your body, you should think of first, okay, where did it come from? Is it good for me? Right. And also, what I learned in my years of work is, you still have to question everything. Also, if any authorities say like, oh, this amount of artificial sweeteners is good for me or good for you, is it really? How do you know? You know, I'm talking about, for example, aspartame, acesulfame K, these kind of sweeteners, which are basically harming your gut, which are actually also carcinogenic. And they say in small amounts, it will not affect you. But why not? You know, that's why I completely take them out. I don't use any artificial sweeteners except, for example, some xylitol, some stevia, monk fruit. These are fine. And in the end, you can have some sugar, right? There's nothing bad about sugar if you're metabolically healthy. So, and it's also something I also teach my clients. Don't get so orthorexic that you fear food. You should not fear food. Food is here to give us energy, to give us nutrients, not for you to think about it all the time as soon as you approach food. Oh my God, has it this? Has it that? Will it make me fat? Has too many carbs? This is a really wrong approach, because then everything evolves around that, which makes you mentally impaired. You know, so there's also a big part about talking to them. It's okay if you have your pie, just make sure it's really good quality. You know.
Yeah, it's true. And are you one of those trainers? Again, I'm not saying anything. It might be a good approach. Who advise to their clients to count calories, or it depends on their goals, right?
Yeah. The funny thing is, no, not at all.
No.
So the thing is, if I want to put it down in one answer, calorie counting does not work. Why? Where does calorie counting come from? It comes from, you measure. For example, if you take a piece of broccoli, put it into a bomb calorimeter, you burn it, and the energy being produced, this is what you're calling calories. So this works in a lab, but our body is not a lab. Our body is full of hormones and other things which are creating a whole own ecosystem. So if you, for example, burn a piece of bread in a bomb calorimeter, you will get a certain amount of calories. If you burn the same amount of fat in a calorimeter, probably as well. The thing is with the body, as soon as you eat carbohydrates, your body's producing one hormone called insulin. And insulin is a storing hormone, right? And as soon as you store something, it's being pushed into your cells. So, and when you, for example, eat fat, you don't have a insulin spike. So your insulin doesn't go up. So it could be actually that you could lose weight on a ketogenic diet, although you're eating more calories than on a diet where you eat a lot of carbohydrates. Because your body doesn't work like a lab. It doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
So it's
Yeah.
if you put it if you do it in a setting of a laboratory, it works. But because
Mm-hmm.
we're full of hormones and every nutrient activates different hormones, it doesn't work. And also another example, if you eat, for example, 100 grams of protein, your body uses 30% of that protein to digest it. So basically from this 100 grams of protein, you're only getting in 70 grams
Ah.
because your body is, because it's harder to digest protein than, for example, carbohydrates, and your digestion also uses calories, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but and if people still tell me, I want to count calories, it's a good thing. Why? They're getting an idea how much they're eating. So the thing is, okay, you use it in the beginning, but at some point you know what you're eating. You don't need to count. You look at your plate and you see your food. So I think it's a good instrument to create proper healthy eating habits. What I like most is using your hand as a measurement how you plate should look like. So it's approach precision nutrition uses. So precision nutrition is a nutrition education, really renowned worldwide. So they say, you know what, use your hand. So when you have your hand here, this part, this
Mm-hmm.
stick should be your protein, right?
Uh-huh. Like a palm, yeah? Like, yeah.
And exactly a palm of your hand. If
Uh-huh.
you then you get some vegetables, which are your fist. A cup full of hands are your carbohydrates, and then a thumb is your fats. So women eat one of each, and then you have a complete meal for once a day. So you have 3 of those, and for men, just double the amount. And then regarding your goals, you can adjust you can adjust the fats and the carbohydrates. Which means if you are aiming for fat loss,
Mm-hmm.
you can, for example, reduce more the carbohydrates. If you say you want to work out for power, you want to like perform in a gym, you can up your carbs a little bit. So it always depends. Yeah. Also here it depends also how metabolically flexible are you, and what I also include now is how are your light cycles. If you are having a lot of light, just eat carbohydrates, right? If you're in the deepest winter, maybe cut them down. Maybe don't have your banana or your watermelon, but maybe eat some things like carrot. Eat some starches, which could be stored actually over winter. Yeah, if you really want to eat it. And I also say you mentioned before it's all about balance. I'm also not that 100% that I say like, oh, when it's winter, I don't have this pie, I don't have this. But the thing is, I am metabolically healthy. I do a lot of things which counterbalances it. I go to the cold, I do red light therapy, I block the blue light, I step on natural soil, grass, so your body can soak up all its free electrons. So it's all about here as a balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. I love that approach. And I actually loved you said a very important thing about questioning, question everything. As you know, fitness is such an evolving space. Like today, they might say something like in 5 years, they will do
Mm-hmm.
some testing or something and they will disregard something.
Mm-hmm.
Or just generally, I mean, maybe it's just you were referring to media as well, because you can hear a lot of um, misinformation, fads. It's just, I think we're inundated in that. Is it that what you were referring, or you were referring to
Exactly,
scientific? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, so important as well. Who you listen to as well, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I think nowadays it's pretty hard. I don't blame the people itself. It's also the surroundings. When
Mm-hmm.
you're someone, you want to be healthy, you want to have some advice, right? You're going to look for, and the thing is, how can you distinguish between good and bad advice? Also, if you
Mm-hmm.
go to a doctor, right? The doctor is not a bad person. They're just giving you advice based on their knowledge. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's the system we're in a little bit, which makes it, which gives you bad advice. And I understand that a lot of people nowadays don't have the time to dig into the research, And then of course, then you have to trust authorities. which is the guy or the girl on Instagram which has a six-pack ass, because actually that is what people think of optimal health and fitness, you know. But is it optimal health and fitness? I'm not so sure, you know. And then you trust, of course, doctors are also authorities. That's why you trust them. But are they right? How do you know? Because when I talked to my ex, when I was sitting together with my ex-girlfriend, she studied medicine in Vienna, and the only course she had in nutrition was in her first semester, one course, and most of what she learned was pharmacology and disease. And I think that's a really good thing that they're very specialized. I wouldn't want to miss a doctor if I, for example, have any infectious disease, if I have any accident that you can put me together. But what we see now is a little bit of an epidemic of a lot of civilization diseases. This is, for example, metabolic disorders. You have atherosclerosis, you have diabetes, you have obesity, various cancers. So a lot of these things are because of our environment and what we're doing. This is what I mentioned before. This is epigenetic. What are we doing to our genetics that certain genes are being expressed? So I think we need more people, experts in this field. And this is where I'm going down the rabbit hole, you know? And I think this is really, really interesting to see what you can do actually with nature and how nature actually intended us to be. And the more I go into this evolutionary medicine, biophysics, quantum mechanics, it just makes so much sense. And the thing is, the literature is out there. We just are not looking in the right corners, right? There's so many super intelligent people whom to follow, but we just follow the wrong people. So, and that's why I shifted my approach. And this, I would say, is the biggest change and has had the biggest impact on my coaching. And it's not that I added this kind of food, this kind of exercise, stress management techniques. These things are really good. I add them always, but not in the beginning, you know? And I also don't blame the people that they say, oh, I cannot do this. I don't feel energized. I cannot sustain this habit, because their environment makes it very difficult for them. So I'm trying first to change their environment, external things, in order for their bodies to balance a little bit. And then if they have the capacity, because you need capacities to build habits. If you don't have this mental capacity, you will not do any habit. It's impossible. So what is the low-hanging fruit here, right? Everybody can put this on. Everybody. It doesn't hinder you with anything, except you're a graphic designer, right? And then you need to see colors. Okay, I'll give you that. Just get the ones with the yellow glasses, then you're fine. But just by putting this on, right, you can do whatever you want to do. Or you're gonna put some filters on your screen that as soon as the sun sets, your screen is not super bright, but a little bit more yellowish, right? So all these small things I add, and this doesn't cost anything. Number one, they're for free. You don't even have to pay. Okay, glasses. Okay, you have to buy them, but phones, filters. I want to show you something which is really cool.
Yeah, show me.
Well, I'm all over the place, but I'm so passionate about this thing.
Yeah, go on.
Right?
Yeah.
So everybody has their phone like this, right? It's super bright. So what I do in the evening is I just go down here, and you're gonna go in the sun, hold it, and then you go night shift mode. Then it turns yellow. Oops. Right? Yellow is really good because it has less blue light. I went the next step, and there's you can find it on YouTube. You can make a screen red.
Oh wow.
Boom.
Oh.
So no blue light. The thing is, people's like, oh, I still have to look up my phone. My kids are out, and I need to look up my phone. Yeah, just put your red light screen. How did I test it that it didn't emit any blue light? Very easy. I put my blue light blocking guys on. I look at it. It does not change. So it's not emitting any blue light, but it's red light. So these are like really cool modern life hacks. How to reduce the strain on your eyes, right? This you can find it on YouTube. You just type in how to turn screen into red. It's for iPhones. I don't know about Android. How to turn your screen red, and it's freaking amazing. And the thing is, you didn't do any techniques of meditation, of calming down. You sleep better just by implementing these strategies of reducing blue light in the evening. You know, it's just amazing.
So it
And then,
changed your life, yeah, as well, since you start implementing
yeah,
you know.
the thing, yeah, my sleep got better. The one number one is in the morning I wake up like this, boom, I just stand up and get going, and this is the sign of high dopamine. If you cannot get out of bed, if you're like, oh my god, snooze 3 4 times, that's a sign of low dopamine, and that's mostly light related because you're having too much wrong light at the wrong time of the day. So as soon as you balance your light, you will have more energy. You will sleep better, right? You will have more capacity to work out. So why? Look, this is one thing I really don't get. Why do people, if they're feeling tired, if they're feeling like worn out because they have a lot of stress, why would you put them on a high intensity workout?
I
That's
don't
what a
know.
lot of trainers do, and then they feel awful even more
Oh
because
yeah,
it drains you even
like heat
more.
ones.
Like HIIT training,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh
CrossFit classes, right? They all have a place, but not for
yeah.
someone who comes to he and he's suffering from insomnia, weight gain, tired, mental fog, brain fog, and then he's like, oh, you need exercise. We're gonna just hit the workout hard. You know what happens? He's already here. You're gonna push him even further, and they're gonna have at some point some adrenal fatigue. So what you have
Mm.
to do is first build the easiest, get the low hanging fruit, work on that. What is easy to implement? Oh, and then you know what? When you sleep better, okay, you know what? You just work on having a walk. Go out in the sun 30 minutes a day. Just walk. If there's no sun, doesn't matter. Just look up in the sky. Oh my God, I feel so much better. I'm losing weight. Okay, then we're gonna put more exercise. We're gonna put some more dietary things because the more capacity they have, physical and mentally, the more you can change, and the more motivated they are. Yeah? That's
Definitely.
some yeah. That's I'm starting first with how can you change your body from this perspective? Yeah.
So cool. So I have a couple of questions before we wrap up. Mark, so question number one, where can our listeners, including myself, can buy these glasses? Is it Amazon? Like where? You don't need to
Um,
call the brand, but I don't know if you
yeah.
want to.
I mean, Amazon has the funny fact is from my standpoint now is it's not rocket science, but you can get on Amazon. I mean, I can recommend the brands because I think they're really good, and people should have some really good brands. So in the US, I got this called Raw Optics,
Mm-hmm.
RA Optics,
Six. Uh-huh.
right?
I will.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
where I get mine from. And when you are in Europe, I
Mm-hmm.
ordered the other ones from a company called Lichtblock. That's a German guy.
Uh-huh.
He's Daniel Setke, and he's a chiropractic, and his company is called Lichtblock, and there you can get it. Lichtblock.shop. So
Mm-hmm.
LICHTBLOCK. It's German, Lichtblock, and they ship all over Europe.
Uh-huh.
So I would really recommend people in the US getting from Raw Optics, in Europe from Lichtblock, because I ordered mine, this one, because
Mm-hmm.
Lichtblock didn't exist that time. I have this already so many years, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the only company who had it. I think it was 2019 or 20, and I had
Mm-hmm.
to pay shipping costs
Mm-hmm.
and customs. Oh my god, I think I paid double the amount.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to prevent that, just if you're in Europe, get Lichtblock, and then when you're in the States. I don't know in Asia. I'm sorry, because it's not where I am. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm sure. Are they called just what's like? Is it like orange?
Blue light blocking glasses. Blue
Blue.
light blocking glasses. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one more important thing: when you go now to optician, they sell you blue light blocking glasses, which are transparent.
Oh,
Transparent doesn't work. You have to have yellow or orange in the glasses. You have to have it because they only really block blue light. So if somebody tries to sell you transparent glasses, it just doesn't work.
doesn't
Yeah,
work.
no.
Yeah, that's good to know.
You need a filter. And the cool thing is, when
Yeah.
you are wearing glasses, there are clip-ons. So you just
Mhm.
clip it on your glasses, and then you don't have to worry, right?
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
And do you normally wear them in the evening, or is just in
So
the?
now during daytime, it's now 10:30 and 36. I don't
Mhm.
wear them, of course, because we have a lot of daylight here, and
Mhm.
with long light cycles. For example, when it gets darker, so here the sun sets about 6 p.m. When I still work on a computer about 3, 4 p.m., where it's a little bit dimmer, I have mine with yellow glasses, which let in green all the other light frequencies, but they block most of the blue. Because the thing is, you don't need blue anymore. Because blue, you need it in the morning to activate you. But as soon as the sun set, boom, this one. Yeah. And maybe one thing what I really want to add, as soon as the sun set, don't turn on any lights which come from above. This signals the sun. Because as soon as the light hits you from above, it raises cortisol. Get some lights which are indirect. Put it into a corner, a light which is more on eye level, right? Yellowish bulb, then you can also sleep way better. Just don't from above. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, definitely we'll start implementing these things probably from today, because before, normally I'm aware of the detrimental effect of blue light, that generally, not being on your phone before you go to bed. And I've noticed these effects. My sleep is terrible. If I on my phone or I use my computer before I go to bed, like I don't sleep well. Yeah, and I can't switch off. It's like my mind constantly processes information I've
Yeah.
just been exposed to. And so, and the last question, Mark. I know you work with, you said, busy professionals, and my audience consists of predominantly busy professionals. What are the top 3 actions our listeners can start today to enhance their health and well-being based on your approach?
Okay. So when we're talking about your listeners, I think they're living mostly in the northern hemisphere, right? So most of the people like in the States, Europe. So we get from that, because it would be different if you would live near the equator. So I'll go from that standpoint that they're living in your latitude, right? So number one, what you have to do is you have to embrace the light cycles. That means you have to be awake when the sun is out, and you have to get out in the sun. And as soon as the sun sets, put on your blue light blockers, right? That's number one. If it is summer, so number 2 is if it's summer, go out in the sun. If it's winter, you have to go into the cold. You have to expose yourself into it. Make it a habit, do it in the summer as well. Cold thermogenesis is so good for you. It's strong anti-inflammatory. You're just gonna feel amazing. And number 3 is up your seafood. And for the people who say like, oh my God, I'm worried about the mercury levels, take it easy. Number 1, anytime you eat seafood, there's a counteracting agent called selenium. Selenium is a mineral which works against mercury. So it's number 1. And number 2, if you still think, oh my God, I still don't want to eat the mercury, focus on the smash fish. Smash is for S for salmon, M for mackerel, A for anchovies, S for sardines, H for herring. These are smaller fish. That's where they're being eaten in the food chain quite frequently and faster. What I would prevent, if you are really concerned about it, don't eat tuna, don't eat swordfish, these kind of things, because they're big predators eating the small fish. And the more predators eat other fish, the more mercury they accumulate. So stick to the small fish, and of course, oysters, clams, mussels, lobster, these kind of things. If you can eat them, your brain will just explode, because you're gonna have so much brain capacity. And the funny thing is, everybody's talking about like, oh, how to enhance your brain with all these nootropic supplements. Oh my God, just get your real seafood in with DHA, and you're gonna have like abundance of energy. You will not have any brain fog. You're gonna be like, you're gonna be very focused. Like your brain will be so sharp, right? So I don't take any nootropics. I keep my brain sharp by basically eating a lot of seafood. Yeah.
Seafood. Yeah. No.
Yeah. These 3 things. Cold. I mean, if you make it easy, eat seafood, get it to the cold.
Cool.
Make sure when the sun sets, wear your blue light blocking glasses and get out in the sun. Also, if it's not shining. If you want to start, this would make a big difference. This is incredible.
Yeah, I was making notes of that as well. I'm sure I'm going to rewatch this episode. But it's super helpful for our audience to know, and because they are, it's just been proven, you've been implementing yourself. And I mean, like, for example, fish, everyone knows about that. Blue light, yeah, it's just, I think it's really cool that you mentioned this, like, I don't like work hacks, but you know that's tips like with a blue light blocker, the the glasses and all. It's just
Yeah.
really good to know about the lights as well. That's a great reminder because I'm
I mean,
thinking,
we have to do it. That's the thing. We have to do things in order to express the right genes, right? So, and it's so easy. And we're not even talking about nutrition and exercise, you know. And this
yeah,
is also one thing what maybe differs me to other health coaches. I don't make health. I don't make now. I would not say never because before I learned also I had to learn. Now I prioritize light and environment way more than nutrition and food. Nutrition and exercise. I'm sorry. This
hmm
is and it's easy to
Did you?
implement. Going to the gym is harder,
Yeah, no, it
right?
it, yeah, it is true. Yeah, it is true. No, it's good. I actually, like I said, I really enjoyed talking to you because I've never spoken to anyone who has that comprehensive and I would say very human scientific approach. I don't know if you can call it this way. Because not a lot of people think about these things. They're like, oh, okay, in order to be healthy, I need to go to the gym. I need to train like 3 or 4 times a week, depending obviously on your goals. Then I need to eat a lot of protein. This is what everyone on social media tells you that to build muscle because it's a organ longevity. You know, all these like
Mm-hmm.
basic things like
Yeah.
I know about that. If I would invite you, you would talk about all these things that everyone knows, like the majority of people. Yeah,
Yeah.
they might not implementing them, but they don't have. What I'm saying is that it was very insightful to talk to you about these things because they do matter a lot
Mm-hmm.
about
Yeah.
the lights and the omega 3, the fish you just mentioned, and all of that, nutrition and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, Mark, where can our listeners find you, connect with you, maybe book a session with you? Yeah, can you tell us?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website called
Hmm.
www.human-apex.com. So human is HUMAN -APEX.com. I'm
Yeah.
on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Coach Mark Schilling. Yeah, there you can find me. I would love if somebody would connect. We can have a chat. It'd be really interesting to see who
Perfect.
wants to also optimize their health.
What's that? Sorry. You.
It would be interesting to see how people want to optimize their health.
Yeah, sure. That would be, yeah, that would be great. And yeah, if you contact Mark, he you can see he's very knowledgeable about these things. If you want to optimize your health and habits, and I will leave all the links in the show notes of this episode. And if you are watching us on YouTube, I will leave all the links in the description box of this video. Mark, thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I think I've learned so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Loved it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.